I'm Paul Meyer, the CEO of Smart Health Network. Excited that you're all here. So interested in plumbing, because we're going to be talking about plumbing today. It's a very exciting topic. Our topic today is the health infrastructure for the AI era.
So on the promise of AI, I was reflecting on this. I am the president of Microsoft Research. One of the things that I find most optimistic is that generative AI is allowing new superpowers to derive structure from large amounts of largely unstructured clinical data. So I painted a very rosy picture about what AI can do, and it's all the truth. But it all depends on access to data. If you don't have access to data, then it's all theoretical.
Well, before we go to Chris, just on the architecture point, I like to explain to people, why do we send 9 billion faxes in American healthcare and waste $1.5 trillion in admin expense? Because we built one system for clinical data, electronic health records and health information exchanges, a whole other system for payments and eligibility using an old 40-year-old EDI transaction standard. Those two systems don't talk to each other, which leads to, hey, Dr. Weinstein, we'd love to approve your prior auth. Can you fax us the clinical notes? And that happens about 9 billion times a year, which costs about $1.5 trillion. And meanwhile, we the patients, we the people, we weren't invited to either party, right? So this is, American healthcare lack of data infrastructure.
What we found is that once you build that basic connectivity with just things like identity resolution and coverage and eligibility information, you can save the industry $15 billion a year. The problem is getting that ROI to scale across an entire ecosystem that's built the spider web of one-to-one, point-to-point connections and are heavily reliant upon some really antiquated infrastructure that sits between them. And what we found is we could solve that, but we really needed a neutral, scalable, well-governed, self-governing model to solve that problem at scale.
So one of the things that we've talked about is the analogy to Visa. The real innovation of Visa was governance. It said, hey, this has got to be, if we're going to get everybody on board, this needs to be governed as a common utility. They brought the banks into the governance structure. So for 50 years, it really effectively ran as a de facto kind of cooperative.
We're entering a time where I think we are going to be able to address disease in a way that we've never been able to do before, to integrate all this data coming from all these different places, but it's going to take some commitment and investment in creating an infrastructure that puts the individual back in the center of where that data comes from, both to drive the creation of new knowledge, but also then to apply that knowledge back to the individuals who are contributing.
We have the technical means to do that if we can just solve this data architecture issue.
We just need some plumbing.